A recap of weeks 6 and 7 of the NFL. Penn State is now the not so happy Valley, the Justin Turner craziness in the World Series, and much, much more. I'm Austin Bennett, and this is the Philly Cheesesteak.
Because bad things happen in Philadelphia. Bad things.
And Indiana pulls this off in overtime.
Hey guys, welcome back to week 3 of the Philly Cheesesteak. I'm glad to be back. I took a week off last week. That's why we have a ton to get into tonight, a ton to talk about. I had a ton of schoolwork, I had regular work, and then also I was out and about getting things done for my Eagle Scout project as well. So I'm glad to be back now, and we have a ton to talk about. We have, I believe, let me count them here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 topics tonight to talk about. And that's not really everything I wanted to get into. There's a lot more, but we're going to kind of speed through everything we've got tonight. So the first thing I want to talk about, obviously, I haven't spoken with y'all since the Eagles versus Ravens game. And in that one, the Eagles actually only lost by 2. That was a game I was really fearful of going into it. I really thought that they were going to get blown out. And for a large portion of that game, they were being blown out. Honestly, obviously there's still things to work out whenever you lose a game. But it was a really strong and promising showing, I believe, by the Eagles. The fact that on the offensive side, they only had 2 of 11 starters at the end of that game, or at least regular starters you would have on the football field, in Jason Kelce and Carson Wentz. Zach Ertz had to leave, Miles Sanders had to leave. Pretty much anyone with an offensive line position outside of the center had to leave. It was a very injury-filled game, and Carson Wentz almost pulled it off. He almost pulled off, I think, maybe the greatest NFL comeback since Super Bowl 51, if it had happened. But it didn't. Obviously the main thing still for Carson Wentz, and it showed as well in that Giants game the week after, he's forcing plays. He's throwing balls when he shouldn't. He's taking sacks when he shouldn't. It's something he really needs to work on, and hopefully we see that this Sunday against the Cowboys. So segue into the Thursday night game against the Giants. I'm going to be honest, man. Holy moly. What a heart attack of a game. That was unbelievable. Let's be real. Eagles got lucky this game. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. They got very lucky with mainly that Evan Ingram drop. I mean, that one was kind of that one you're kind of like, I don't know what happened there. Because Evan Ingram is a pretty good receiver, generally. But yeah, that was a pretty lucky game for them. But another comeback game. This time it was successful. Very similar theme to the Ravens game. A comeback. This time they win it. And the biggest issue here again is Carson Wentz holding on to that ball. Throwing interceptions when he really shouldn't have to, taking sacks when he really shouldn't have to. He tried throwing the ball away more this game, which was nice to see, but it also led to, I believe, 2 intentional grounding calls, so definitely still something he needs to work on for sure. So hopefully we can see that in this Sunday night game we have coming up against the disgusting Dallas Cowgirls. Most definitely the most hated team, at least for me. I know a lot of Eagles fans hate the Giants just because of the close proximity, but I hate Dallas a lot more. It's for sure. And I think overall, just America really despises the Cowboys. They call them America's team. I think it's because it's America's most hated team, probably. But Eagles in this one, they got a 72.9% chance to win according to ESPN's Football Power Index. And then according to a website, I get a lot of my stats and projections from teamrankings.com. Not sponsored, but hey, if they want to pick up a sponsorship, I would be happy to do it with them. They're giving the Eagles only a 64.8% chance to win. Hello? I mean, am I getting ready for the same game this Sunday? This is a game between Carson Wentz, should have been 2017 MVP, against Ben DiNucci, am I saying his name right? This guy, I think, took his first ever NFL snap last Sunday when Andy Dalton was out with the concussion. By the way, Andy Dalton will not be playing this Sunday against the Eagles. He's officially out, but he was with the team this week practicing, helping out there. So thankfully he is good after that hit. That was a pretty nasty hit he took last week against the Redskins, or I'm sorry, the football team, which we will get into in a moment. So honestly, I think these predictions are bogus this week, honestly, for the Eagles. I'm giving them an 82% chance to win. Why 82 exactly? I don't know. It's just a nice number. But in reality, I'm giving them like an 80% chance. But 82 sounds nice. So we're going to go with 82. And here's the reasoning. I mean, just look at the Cowboys. Who's going to do what, right? I'm not worried about Ezekiel Elliott because our defensive line is going to handle that. They've proved that week after week now. And I'm not worried about our linebackers or our secondary because who the heck is going to be throwing that ball to all the receivers for the Cowboys? Nobody. Ben DiNucci, who is that? I guarantee you. No, I don't guarantee you, but I don't even know what college he went to or anything. I don't know a single thing about him. It's unbelievable. So the fact that we are only projected, we're only given a up to 3 out of 4 chance to win this game is stupid. It really is. It's really stupid. And all these predictions are always stupid every single game. They make no sense. And this is just another great example of it. I mean, just be real. I know people don't like Philadelphia if you're not a Philadelphia fan. But come on, be honest with yourselves. Who in the world doesn't have the Eagles winning this game, okay? And here's how the Eagles win this game. It's only 2 points this week. Typically it's 3 or 4, and they're kind of hard to achieve. But this week is pretty easy. Number 1, you win the turnover game. After last week's performance by Ezekiel Elliott, shouldn't be that hard. And then number 2, Carson Wentz doesn't force plays. It's a theme that's been happening pretty much all season. If he knocks it off, we're winning this game very handily, very easily. And if you guys want to see some great offense from Philadelphia, watch this game Sunday night. It's going to be very, very entertaining against that Dallas secondary. I'm really hoping Alshon Jeffrey's good to go, because if so, he's going to have a great homecoming game for sure. So let's talk about these Cowboys some more. Man, these last 2 weeks have been ugly for the Cowboys. I mean, pretty horrendous. Last week, they lose to Washington by a score of 25-3. 25-3. Now, obviously, that has a lot to do because of Andy Dalton getting hurt. But they were only able to put up a field goal. And I've been telling people a lot about this. They signed Greg Zuerlein to, I think, a 1-year, $8 million contract for this season, their kicker. I'm like, this guy's getting his money's worth. He was the only guy who scored last week. He kicked the game-winning field goal and onside kick against Atlanta. At least I think there was a game-winning field goal. I know there was an onside kick, but I don't know if it was a field goal or a touchdown that won that game. But he's done some other stuff too that I'm like, well, they're at least getting their money's worth out of this guy. I don't know about Ezekiel Elliott or Dak Prescott, but at least this guy's getting paid what he deserves. So they lost to them 25-3. But that's not even the worst part. That was right off of losing to the Arizona Cardinals 38-10. 38-10. That was with Andy Dalton the entire game. Like there's the only excuse you have obviously is Dak Prescott, but still, like, you still lost by 28 points with your second string. I don't know if y'all remember this, but the Eagles last second string, yeah, he won the Super Bowl for us when he was playing. So, yeah, I don't count that as an excuse that you're on your backup quarterback, because we were able to play 4 regular season games and an entire postseason and win the entire thing with the backup quarterback. So you can't use that excuse on Eagles fans. But here's what I wanted to ask y'all, for you guys listening on SoundCloud, on YouTube. We're now, in case you didn't know this, we are now on all streaming platforms minus Apple Podcasts. They've still yet to, I guess, accept our podcast, which kind of stinks. But we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on any other major streaming service that you listen to podcasts on. So Share it with your friends. You can now listen to us on your Xbox through Spotify. You can now listen to us through your Android device through Google Podcasts. It's really awesome, and I'm very, very excited for what that will mean for us. But if you're on SoundCloud or YouTube, I want you guys to comment, please. Which loss do you think was worse? Do you think the Washington loss from the Eagles or the Washington loss from the Cowboys? Because obviously, just in normal game context, you're going to pick the Eagles one, right? Because they actually had a more chance of winning that game. They were more expected to win that game. They had their starting quarterback the entire game. They were up 17. But I'm talking about in the context of the entire season. Which loss, when we look back at the end of the season, which loss will be more detrimental, will be worse to the team? And I know you technically really can't know that until the end of the season, obviously. But I'm asking you guys, which one do you think is going to have a bigger impact over the entire season? I mean, they were talking about it on First Take, I know. They were saying how this game last weekend by the Cowboys in Washington was a must-win for Dallas to stay in the division race. Yeah, I agree with them on that statement, honestly. I mean, obviously we have to see how the rest of the season goes with Eagles wins or losses and Cowboys wins or losses, but I think especially after that injury to Dak Prescott, you needed that win. You needed that win to give your team some confidence after that Cardinals loss, and to stay ahead of the Eagles, because they obviously had just won against the Giants. So yeah, not looking too great for the Cowboys. And speaking of the Cowboys, honestly, I was worried at first about the Cowboys hiring Mike McCarthy. I thought it, because they were either going to hire him or that Matt LaFleur guy who went to the Packers. I believe that was who they were talking about as well. And I was worried about that one. I was more hoping... Oh, no. It was... Gosh, I can't remember. I can't remember who the other candidate was, but I was hoping they were picking the other guy because I was like, oh, Mike McCarthy, he has good experience with Aaron Rodgers, you know? He's won a Super Bowl. This guy's been successful before. I don't want them to pick this guy. This guy's the better candidate. But now looking back, oh my gosh, I'm so happy they picked this guy. This guy's garbage. He doesn't fit with this team, and he's done just a bad job as a coach overall. I want to read you two quotes one from each of these games. This is from John, I believe I'm saying this name right, Machota on Twitter. Go check him out. He apparently has a lot of insight on like Cowboys stuff. So if you're a Cowboys fan, go check him out. Pretty interesting stuff. But this one is from their loss to the Cardinals. He says, Mike McCarthy after Cowboys 38-10 loss to the Cardinals. Quote, I felt like our preparation coming into this game was our best this year. Let that sink in. Best this year. A 28-point loss in your first week with the backup quarterback was your best preparation of the year? Like maybe you're saying I feel like you did a good job like adjusting to your backup quarterback, but like that shouldn't be your best preparation all year. Your best preparation should be with your starting quarterback who you're used to. Like that's bad news if your best preparation comes immediately as you have a new quarterback and you lose by 28 like that. That makes absolutely no sense what he's saying there. And then this one was right after the game against Washington. They were talking about the hit from the Washington defender on Andy Dalton that took him out of the game. He said, this is the quote from the tweet. Mike McCarthy on no Cowboys players getting in John Bostic's face, that's the guy who hit Andy Dalton, after his dirty hit on Andy Dalton. Quote, we speak all the time about playing for one another, protecting one another. It definitely was not the response you would expect. Well, as someone who's a Philly fan, absolutely it's not the response you'd expect from a Cowboys player, right? To not get in the face of a guy who's taking a teammate out. Because Cowboys players are nasty just because they signed with the team, for crying out loud. But yeah, I mean, that's not good. If you were, he said, it is definitely not the response you would expect. This team's falling apart, man. This team is falling apart in the front office, coaching staff, players. It's all bad. It's all bad. And I would not be shocked because I'm truly expecting and anticipating an absolute blowout by the Eagles. I would truly be shocked if it does end up being a blowout. I would truly be shocked if Mike McCarthy coaches another game with the Cowboys. I seriously think it's time to go, especially after these last two quotes and the last two teams' performance, game performances. Like, it's been bad, and it hasn't been. It's not like it's these last 2 weeks just because they haven't had their QB. It's been bad all season, honestly. Right? I mean, they're 2-5. They're 2-5. There's no real excusing that overall if you're a coach, right? You can excuse that. You can argue about it as a fan. You can argue about it even if you're one of the players. But as a coach, that's on you at the end of the day, honestly. Yeah, it's looking really, really bad for Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys. And, I knew it was bad ever since the moment they decided to build around a running back and a QB. I've been telling this to just about every Cowboys fan I know. They always want to argue with me about Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz. That's not even your team's issue, honestly. Your team's issue is that your quarterback is not only not the best player on your team, but it's not the player you're truly building around on your team. The player they're building around right now is Ezekiel Elliott. And I'm telling you, you cannot win championships without having a franchise quarterback. And Dak Prescott, he's not a franchise quarterback. I'm sorry, he's not. He's a very good quarterback. But I don't think he's a Super Bowl winner. I don't think he is. I really don't. Especially when you spend all your money on one wide receiver and one running back, and you can't pay the rest of your team, and you end up having one of the worst defenses in the league. All right, I don't. No one. Who in the world thought that would work out? Who in the world thought that would work out? Oh, Jerry Jones. That's who. Makes sense. Yeah. I mean. Yeah. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm stuttering. That's who it is. Leonard Fournette. Last team to try to do that was Leonard Fournette and the Jaguars. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. I apologize, y'all. I had a brain lapse there. Last team to do it was Leonard Fournette and the Jaguars in 2017. They lost in the AFC Championship to the Patriots, and their quarterback was Blake Bortles. But they also had a really, really good defense, and they weren't paying their quarterback that much, so they were able to pay for other positions. But it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out for the Cowboys because they're trying to pull a Golden State Warriors on an NFL team, which doesn't work out the same way. It's a different sport. You can't have 4 superstars on the same team and expect to be a well-rounded team. Why? Because in the NBA, you only have 5 players on the court at a time, okay? So if you have 4 superstars that can each play 40 minutes a game, that'll work out, right? As long as you have a mediocre bench. But in the NFL, you got to pay for 22 guys plus special teams, right? 11 on offense, 11 on defense, and then, punter, kicker, long snapper, plus maybe 1 or 2 random guys who only do special teams. So that's at least 28 solid players you have to have on the field. You can't pay for 3 or 4 superstars all on one side of the ball. You got Tyron Smith, you got Amari Cooper, you've got Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott. You can argue Michael Gallup. But that's why they weren't able to pay Dak Prescott this season. Along with they didn't want to pay him Carson Wentz money because he's not as good as Carson Wentz. That's a fact. I'm sorry, you guys. But they also just simply can't pay the man. They can't because they already don't have enough money for that defense. It just piles onto it. So they're in a really, really bad position, and they're gonna have to get rid of 2 out of 3 of the superstars. That's just a fact. I'm sorry, you guys. So it's you can only pick one. It's like one of those cut bench start or cut trade start scenarios. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it. They can keep all 3 guys, sure, but they're just gonna have the same exact results that they're seeing now. So they have a ton to work on, and it's going to be a long ride for you Cowboys fans, especially Sunday night, so buckle up. All right, next topic. Do we even have to do this one? Can we just skip this one? It's Penn State. It's Penn State versus Indiana. You guys heard it in the intro. That was the call by whoever was doing it on Fox of when Indiana won it. Indiana wins in overtime against number 8 Penn State by a score of 36-35. They tied it up at the end of the game, 28-28. Penn State kicks a field goal with 2 seconds left. 57-yarder misses. They go into overtime. Penn State scores a touchdown. Indiana scores a touchdown. And Indiana wins it off a 2-point conversion. Listen, I know I am biased in this scenario because I am a big Penn State fan. But that 2-point conversion was not a 2-point conversion. He did not make it in. Listen, it is one thing for the ball to hit the inside of the pylon and cross the plane, or to hit the front of the pylon and cross the plane. But for the ball to hit the front of the pylon and go out of bounds, that is not a touchdown. Now, why isn't it? Because the pylon is placed out of bounds, right? So I know this is really confusing to say without video along with it, but the ball hit the front of the pylon and went left out of bounds. It did not hit the pylon, stay above the ground, and go right into the end zone. The only reason they called this thing a touchdown or a 2-point conversion, I'm calling it a touchdown because technically it is a touchdown, just it only counts for 2 points. Only reason it was a touchdown was because it was called one on the field. And I think they really need to make a rule change with that. Obviously, in normal play situations, like if something's called a fumble on the field, right? And they call a fumble on the field, there's discrepancy of who actually got the ball. They go into replay mode. There's no real good sufficient evidence to either side. They stick with what was called on the field. So in that case, it would be the fumble, even if the other team may have gotten it. And that's what they did in this situation. It was called a touchdown on the field. They looked at it. They really didn't have a good camera angle because of all the pile up in the center of the end zone, or in the center of the end zone line, and they stuck with the ruling on the field of the touchdown. I think in touchdown and game winning / losing situations, they need to throw out that rule, that precedent, if you will, of just going with the call on the field if there's any discrepancy. I don't care how long it takes, 10, 15, 20 minutes. I mean, obviously, if you really have absolutely no clue, then you go with the call on the field. But they didn't have any overwhelming evidence here to say that it wasn't a touchdown, and they just went with the call on the field, which stinks. Because I think if they really took 10, 15 minutes there and really focused in on it and really took a minute to really decide if it was a touchdown or not, then I think they might have overturned it. But it's because it was called a touchdown on the field, the heat of the moment, that they stuck with it. It's really quite annoying because now Penn State's playoff chances are completely gone unless they pull off an absolute miracle and win against Ohio State next week, which, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. It's not. But it really frustrated me because it was just not a 2-point conversion. I don't know how else to tell you. It just wasn't. But I want to talk about another aspect of that game that was maybe positive, and it was that field goal at the end of the game. I know it was a miss, but it was barely missed. It was on track to go in. It just didn't have enough power behind it. It was a 57-yard field goal. Half the kickers in the NFL are gonna miss that, right? You know, a lot of college kickers struggle to hit 40-yarders, 45-yarders. They don't do 33-yard extra points in college. This guy almost hit a 57-yard field goal. That's pretty impressive. So that's maybe one positive takeaway we can get out of this. Also, I want to backtrack to that, talking about that 2-point conversion. I've actually talked about this with some people, some of my friends, and they're like, yeah, I didn't think it was a 2-point conversion either. And this is what they say after that. But it shouldn't have come down to that. And I completely agree with them. This game should not have come down to a game-winning or a game-tying touchdown at the end of the fourth quarter. It shouldn't have come down to a 2-point conversion in overtime. The Nittany Lions should have completely handled this game and easily won it, and it didn't happen. So it's very, very frustrating and very, very disappointing, honestly. And then one more negative part of this game, in case you guys didn't see, Noah Cain. I believe it was Noah Cain. Let me look it up. I'm 95% sure it was Noah Cain. Yes, Noah Cain, Penn State's starting running back. He's out for the season with a leg injury, so yeah, this season's completely over. That's why I've already written off that game against Ohio State as a loss. They don't have anything. They don't have a great defense. You know, they gave up 36 points to Indiana of all teams. They don't have an amazing offense either now because of Noah Cain's injury. So they're losing this game against Ohio State. I wouldn't even watch. I'm probably going to go to bed on Saturday night and not even watch that just awful game that's about to take place. Yeah. So, all right. Glad I got that out of the way. Moving on to our 6th out of 7th topic, the Falcons. The Falcons. While I was gone, they finally got their first win of the season. Took them 6 games and they beat a team that was 1-4. I believe the Vikings, they had a bye week, so they're 1-5 still. But they finally won and they looked good for the majority of the game. I believe they won 40-23. Matt Ryan went crazy, as well did Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. And then they play this game against the Lions, and guess what happens? They not only do they lose again, but they choke again. Like, it's not even entertaining anymore, honestly, for me as a person who doesn't really like the Falcons that much and likes to make fun of them. It's not even fun for me anymore. It just happens every single week. I can't have it happening every single week because then it's just expected and it's not funny. It's not even content anymore. Like, we expect it to happen. It's becoming normal. I mean, if you didn't see it, Todd Gurley, with 2 minutes left, he pulls a Penn State pretty much because Penn State had done the same thing the night before. Less than 2 minutes in the game, he breaks away in the red zone, about to score a touchdown. He's supposed to fall on the 1 yard line, let the clock keep going, and allow him to run the clock down completely so to win the game. And instead of forgetting, like Penn State did, he remembers and falls into the end zone. He falls into the end zone. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It was so, I don't even know what the word is. It was so Atlanta-like. It was so Falcons-like to happen. And it was on, that was funny. The loss wasn't. It's getting boring, honestly, almost. But that was pretty hilarious. And he even talked after the game. He knew he was supposed to fall at the 1 yard line. He tried to, and he fell into the end zone. It was the most bizarre thing ever. That might be the first time I've ever seen an NFL touchdown that the team didn't want to score. It was so weird. So then after that, the Lions get the ball back. They march down the field, and with 2 seconds left, they score a game-tying touchdown. And then they kick the game-winning extra point. And there was even a unsportsmanlike conduct on the touchdown. So it was a 48-yard extra point to win the game. What a way to rub it in the Falcons' faces, make it even more difficult so that they have hope to still go into overtime and then just crush them with an extra point of all things to win the game. An extra point. Pretty hilarious. So I want to go through right now after that loss and just talk to you guys about the remaining schedule because actually, no, I didn't talk about it with you guys, but just last week, when they beat the Vikings, I had multiple people telling me that the Falcons are going to make the playoffs. It took you 6 games to get a single win. Now you're going to the playoffs all of a sudden? Are you kidding me? They obviously didn't take a look at the schedule. I want to re-go through these games they've got. They play tonight, Thursday, against the Panthers. That'll be an interesting game, actually, because they almost won that when Dan Quinn was still the head coach. And I believe they didn't have Julio Jones that game either. So that one will be pretty interesting. I wonder how that'll play out. But Christian McCaffrey is not playing, by the way, in case you guys were wondering. So that's more good news, I guess, for the Falcons. And then next week, they've got a game against the Broncos. I'm sorry if you hear my dog. We've got a puppy. We just got her a few weeks ago. They've got a game against the Broncos. That'll be another interesting game. It'll be interesting to see how Melvin Gordon plays after that DUI. Actually, yeah, I believe that DUI case is on November 3rd or the 13th. That'll be good to know because the game's on the 8th. So if that case happens before the game and he gets suspended, then that will be an interesting storyline to watch, because that'll be a big deal if he isn't able to play. Falcons have a better chance, but I think that's a loss. So then they have the Saints, they have the Raiders, they have the Saints again, Chargers, Buccaneers, Chiefs, and then Buccaneers again. So let's go most positive scenario possible, right? Optimistic but realistic. They win tonight against the Panthers. Let's say that happens. They win next week against the Broncos. They get a 2-game win streak and they go 2-7. 2-7. That's amazing. No, sorry, 2-6, right? Because they're 1-6 right now. Yeah, so no, they'd be 3-6. Holy moly, 3-6. That's unbelievable. And then Saints, that's a loss. Raiders, that's a loss. Saints again, that's a loss. Chargers, Justin Herbert. Let's say Justin Herbert has an off game. Let's give him the win. So now they're 4-9. That's not awful. Buccaneers, loss. Chiefs, loss. Buccaneers again. Only way they win this game, it's January 3rd, by the way, this game. Final game of the season. Only way they win it is if the entire Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is resting, and I think that Tampa Bay will probably still be in the running for a higher seed at that point. So they will not be doing so. So that's going to be a loss as well. So most optimistic scenario possible, they're going 4-12. So if any Falcons fans are listening right now and you want to explain to me how they make the playoffs, I would love to know, because I'm obviously missing something if they're making the playoffs, because there's absolutely no way with the schedule they do any better than 4-12 in my opinion. So again, I've been saying it for weeks now. Buckle up, Falcons fans. It's going to be a long ride. But hey, you have the opportunity tonight to start a potential 2-game win streak. So take advantage of it. Hopefully they're able to win tonight. I'd like to see them win. I'm not even going to lie. I love watching the Falcons lose, but it's becoming too normal. I want to be what's the word? Surprised. Okay? I don't want it to be expected that they lose every single week. So go out and win tonight. Make it more fun for me when you lose 1 to 2 weeks later. All right. Last topic tonight, real quick one. The Justin Turner controversy. The Dodgers won the World Series. I believe it was Monday night, maybe Tuesday, against the Rays. They win the series 4-2. But it was all, I guess you could say, shadowed, or I don't know what the right word is, but was all distracted by Justin Turner. He was pulled from the game in the 7th inning for, at first, an undisclosed reason, but then it turned out he was tested positive for the coronavirus. So he stays in the dugout with his team. They end up winning the game. He goes out on the field to take pictures and takes his mask off for the picture. Everyone goes berserk on the internet. Some people like Keith Olbermann, who is absolutely insane, I'm sorry, he said that the Dodgers should forfeit the championship and called it a super spreader. First off, there's been no cases as far as I've seen. No new cases ever since this, so it was not a super spreader. Anyone who's saying it was is not true. Now, I'm trying to go as unpolitical as possible on this, because apparently masks and coronavirus is so political now. It's not just a disease anymore. But my biggest question about this, it's not why did Justin Turner go out there and celebrate. It's not why did he take his mask off. First off, if I'm him, I'm going out there on the field and I'm grabbing that trophy. I don't care what's going on. And I'm taking that mask off to smile for the camera. I'm ecstatic about that. He won them this championship. I want y'all to understand that. He had an insane double play against the Rays, and he had an insane double play against the Braves that got them to that ring and to that trophy. So if I'm him, I'm going out there and I'm smiling for the camera. I'm taking that mask off and I'm smiling for the camera. I'm sorry. You can yell at me all you want. I'm doing just the same that he did. Here's my big question about this. Here's the thing I really can't understand. Why in the world did it take till the 7th inning of Game 6 of the World Series to get that test back? That test what's the word? Result. That test result back. Like, why did we not know this at the start of the game? Why did it take so long? Why did it take until the 7th inning and he had to get pulled out of the game at the 7th inning for the I'm sorry, what in the world? For them to realize that he was sick. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And they were in a bubble situation as well, right? So the whole thing throws me off big time. Why in the world did it take until 7/9 of the game was through to realize he was sick? It really is strange. And there's a lot still to uncover about this whole situation, which will be interesting. But at the end of the day, congratulations, Dodgers. You won the World Series. I'm very happy for you. One of my old middle school basketball coaches, shout out to him. He was awesome. An awesome coach. He's a big Dodgers fan, so I know he was happy about that, and I'm happy for him. And as far as I know, no one has gotten sick and or seriously hurt from him testing positive, so that's good news there as well. But it's crazy, man. I mean, that's such a 2020 thing to happen for an entire major sports championship to be completely ignored over the coronavirus. That's just, we should have seen it coming almost. It sounds like such a 2020 thing to happen. So, yeah. Well, that's it. Oh my goodness. We caught up on 2 weeks of sports news. I can't believe we did it. I promise I'll do better in the future about doing weekly podcasts as much as possible. And I'll try to figure out ways to let y'all know in advance if I'm not going to be able to do stuff. It just kind of happened randomly. But I was glad to be back tonight. I enjoyed this episode, and I hope you do too. Again, please share it with someone you think will enjoy it on any of the platforms available. I'll have a better list next week of everything we're on now. But again, appreciate you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a great week. Go Birds. They better win this game Sunday, or you may never hear from me again, all right? I may have to hide and go into witness protection program after the confidence I put in them this episode. But there you go, guys. Have a great week, and I will talk to you guys next episode.